Hello everyone, this is Preeti Rana from CSC department is going to discuss a topic related to computer. What is computer? Its major components and the block diagram of computer. So let's begin our discussion on computer. What is computer? Computer is an electronic device that is invented by Charles Babbage to manipulate or perform the sequence of arithmetic and logical operations automatically. Basically, computer is an electronic device that is used to reduce the human efforts that is used to carry out those instructions manually. So the definition of computer: commonly operated machine, particularly used in trade, education and research. That is what I'm saying, that computer is a machine purposely used for these kind of works like trade, educational and research purposes. So these are the main components of computer. The first one is the motherboard, also called as mainboard or PCB, printed circuit board. Basically, motherboard is the hardware device related to computer that is used to connect or automatically connect the different types of peripheral devices on one electronic circuitry. It allows communication between the different devices that is connected with computer. That is what a motherboard is. This is the heart of computer. The next is CPU, Central Processing Unit. Now, what is Central Processing Unit? It is the brain of computer. Central Processing Unit is used to carry out the different instructions that is given by the user to the computer. That is all done by CPU. That I will going to explain you in the block diagram of computer. Then next one is RAM, the random access memory. Random access memory is used to store the different instructions or the different text data that is usually carry out in the computer. The data that is stored in the RAM is in the machine code form, or it can be in the readable form or rewritable form. That is, it can be updated by the user as per requirements. So this is RAM, random access memory, that is used to store the data in the form of text, audio, video, graphics, whatever. Then next is secondary storage devices. Secondary storage devices is used to store the data that is in bulk, that cannot be stored in the RAM. So in storage devices, when we talk about the secondary storage devices, we have two type of secondary storage devices. The first one is SSD, that is solid state drive, and the next one is hard disk drive. Now, hard disk drive is a traditional storage device, traditional secondary storage device that stores or that carries or stores the data in the form of electromechanical form. This is updated by the solid state drive form that usually carries the information in the form of flash memory, that stores the data in the form of flash memory in the form of electromechanical data. The next one is the operating system. Operating system is also called as the system software. This is the part of hardware, this is the part of system software that usually carries or that usually stores the information or that usually instructs the hardware part, the system resources part and other peripheral devices. So it is the system software that runs hardware, that runs software resources and other part of the computer. Then the last component of the computer is graphic processing unit. Now, what is graphic processing unit? This is also a kind of processing unit, basically designed for graphics part, basically designed to carry on the data that is in the form of graphics. So this is one of the most important part of the computer. This is what related to the components of computer. Now we are going to the another part of CPU or another part of computer, that this is the block diagram of computer. As we have already discussed the major components of the computer, now we'll discuss the block diagram of computer. The main part of computer is CPU. In CPU, we have three major components like control unit, main memory, and ALU, that designates arithmetic logical unit. Now, what is control unit? Control unit is a unit that orchestrates all the input from the input devices and produces the output, and that is used by the user only. So, as the control unit orchestrates all the input. Now, what is input and what is input and from where we get those input? The first part is the input devices. We have different input devices for providing the input that is created by user or the instructions that is given by the user to the computer, like keyboard, mouse, scanner, microphone. These are the different types of input devices through which the user can provide the input to the computer. First one is the keyboard. This is the first hardware input device that automatically generates the input that we usually keyed in and converts those instructions in the computer readable form to the control unit. Then next is the mouse. Mouse is a pointing device through which we can provide our instructions to the computer. Scanner usually optically scans the input that can be in the form of text or audio, that can be in the form of text or any printed format. So basically scanner optically scans images, text, graphics, and provide those instructions to the computer. Microphone is the next hardware input device that converts the sound voice language into the computer readable form. These are the different input devices through which we can provide our instructions to the computer. So control unit orchestrates this input. Then the main memory. Main memory, as we have already discussed, that main memory is used to store all the data that is related to the instructions that is provided by the user and other other logical data that is required by the computer to perform those operations on those instructions. So control unit not only orchestrates the input, but it also is connected to the main memory. The data is provided, the instructions that is stored, the instructions that is provided by the input devices are all stored in the main memory. So arithmetic logical unit performs operations given by the control unit, like arithmetic operations, logical operations, or any kind of instructions that is required by the user to carry out operations. So arithmetic logical unit fetches all the instructions from the main memory and performs all the operations that is there in the arithmetic logical unit and produces the output that is then carry on out to the control unit that usually produces the output to the output device. It acts as a transfer device that carries the input, that performs the instructions on the data that is provided by the user and produces the output to the output device. Now, what are output devices? Output devices are those devices that carries out the output on the screen that produces the result in the human readable form that can be understood by the user. It can be me, you, anyone, right? So some of the output devices I have written over here, like printer that is used to print the data that can be in the form of text, images, whatever. Then plotter is another type of hardware output device. Plotter is basically a kind of printer only, but this plotter is a special printing device that is used to print the data that is usually in the form of vector graphics. So it is used to print the data that is there in the high engineering drawing. So for that, we have created a special kind of printers that we usually called as plotters. Then next is monitor. Now, what is monitor? As we all know that the screen that whenever we use computer, the screen that we usually see through our eyes, on which we can perform different operations and we can see the output, that screen, that output device is called as monitor. So these are different types of output devices like printer, plotter, monitor. There are many other output devices as well, but I have mentioned only 3. So this is the block diagram of a computer where I have mentioned the input devices through which we can provide the instructions to the computer. Then control unit fetches, the control unit orchestrates the input from the input device, fetches the instructions from the main memory and performs all the operations that is there in the arithmetic logical unit and produces that output and forward it to the control unit. Then control unit is a main function of control unit to produce that output or to show that output to the output device, to show that output that can be in the readable form that is understandable by the user. So these are the different type of output devices. Like this is the part of main block diagram of computer. But main memory, the size of main memory is very limited. So but the data that we usually perform, on the data we perform different type of instructions to those. For that data, the extra data the data that is there in the bulk is usually stored in the secondary storage devices. So the data that cannot be stored in the main memory, we usually stored in the secondary storage devices. As I have already mentioned, there are different secondary storage devices like SSD, like solid state drive and hard disk drive that I have already mentioned you in the beginning.
If you like the video, please like and subscribe the RPIIT channel. Thank you.